Now, this is our presentation on Mosquera, subtitled Integrating Framework. The site, being at the intersection of different systems, presents many opportunities for us to address, such as water, pollution, urban development, mobility, and agriculture. The site is located immediately outside Bogota, bounded by Rio Bogota in the south and east, Calle 13 in the north, and Rio Barcias and Acuare in the west. The site is heavily defined by its extensive manufactured canal system that pumps water to support the agricultural land in the area. The site is also influenced by the mobility system. Calle 13 is the only major corridor that links Funza and Mosquera to the city. Transmilenio does not serve this area. Instead, flotas or private bus services go around the airport to connect with Bogota. A prominent feature of the site is the water system. The system is a combination of rivers, wetlands, and canals. One of the major obstacles of the site is the risk of flooding, especially at the south side near Bogota. Human neglect and manipulation of the rivers and canals have led to high levels of pollution with minimal plans for revitalization. Calle 13 is characterized as a highway-style corridor with wide lanes and few pedestrian crossings. There's a need to activate the street as a more pedestrian-friendly corridor to accommodate the city's proposed rail line, which will bring more pedestrians into Calle 13. Other connections into the city come in the form of narrow bridges that cross Rio Bogota. These are also not pedestrian-friendly as they are far from any development and often lead to private roads. Existing winery and greenhouses for flower production are polluting the wetland by desiccating them due to these intensive uses, which threatens the amount of clean water accessible, which affects both the biodiversity and communities. Private developments on Calle 13 are projected to increase with the city's proposed rail line, which will accelerate informal development. Unregulated development poses a threat to the remaining wetlands and will further perpetuate the negative relationship between urban areas and biodiversity. The site contains many different land uses that are not integrated. Large areas are dedicated to farming. The edge condition of the site also varies. In the north, along Calle 13, there are large industries which take advantage of the mobility corridor. The informal settlements border the northeast portion of the site. On the west is a quarry that borders farmlands.
As a response to our site analysis and opportunities, we developed a set of key approaches to be enacted throughout our proposal with the overarching theme of integrated framework. This framework operates in combining water, wetlands, agriculture, equitable social practices, and mobility. It transforms an evolving urban area into an ecosystem that actively supports sustainable practices for a symbiosis between human and environmental systems. The mobility intervention is a new avenue that parallels Caracese and a gondola system. The avenue acts as an alternative road that communicates with existing industrial and institution corridors. The gondola station, extended from the metro, connects the urban centers of Mosquera, such as institutions, the new regional rail stations, Funza Main Park, and the flower industry. Based on the development pressures from the proposed rail line, we speculate increasing foot traffic and economic activities. In order to prevent complete urbanization, we are expecting the institution to act as a steward to create equitable access and distribution for development. To connect Caracese with fragmented ecologies, we are proposing a green armature system that surrounds the site, such as floodable parks and filtration ponds to mitigate pollution and flood risks. In inner green armature, taking the form of an Alameda typology, integrating pedestrians, bikes, and canals. With these key approaches identified, we divided the site into the left and the right. With the strategies for implementing them vary, but the overall theme of integrated framework remains constant.
The right subgroup deals with a complicated canal system. Our strategy is to preserve existing canals and connect the system to mobility, development, community infrastructure, and service so that the Mosquera can have sustainable urban expansion. First, the canal is a green corridor itself and has the possibility to be hybridized with other landscape elements and water treatment programs such as modular cell of remediation filter system along the canal to have more productive agriculture and water quality. The gondola station will act as a community anchor and preserve the landscape of agriculture. It provides a needed transportation connection between Bogota and the site without adding heavy infrastructure along the mobility corridor, thereby preserving the agricultural landscape. Assisted with the canal and the gondola system, continuing agriculture-based system integrated with housing is saturated with institutional programs on the west, more market and agro-tourism on the middle, more nature landscape of Alamedas and float park on the east near Bogota River. To summarize, our proposal focuses on integrating green corridors, mobility, and development.
We are proposing green corridors that integrate the community with open space while offering improved mobility for pedestrians and cyclists across the site. Roads that intersect the proposed avenue provide connectivity to the neighborhood and the existing mobility corridor. The gondola station will also act as a node that anchors community services and development. To understand the scale of the site, we created a collage with precedents that serve as guides for the scale of the proposed framework. To get a better understanding of the strategies we propose to the right side, we zoomed into 4 specific areas to demonstrate a symbiotic system between natural environment and urban development. Site 1 examines the interaction between informal residential development, commercial development, proposed green and mobility corridor. There will be mixed-use spaces to create more activity along the corridor. Moving further away, there will be land for informal settlements. Along the green corridors, there will be bike and pedestrian paths integrated with water treatment facilities and community services. The corridor would include 4 lanes, 2 in each direction. The avenue will also introduce bioswales to manage stormwater runoffs and highlight the importance of the water system to the community. There would also be space in the medium for a potential future BRT. Before converting it into a BRT corridor, the space will be used as a trail for pedestrian and cyclists. The development along the avenue is envisioned to be mixed use with higher density.
To better promote local agriculture and integrate it with urban growth, we propose a market and agro-tourism along the corridor. The combination of the programs will bring visitors to Mosquera, contributing to economic growth. This node will become a hotspot for agriculture and agro-tourism commerce. A market plaza is proposed to create a quality open space and encourages informal vending activities such as a farmer's market. On the other side of the avenue, agro-tourism represents the legacy of the flower industry in Bogota and it serves as a local economic engine. The program includes a flower garden, a hotel, and a multifunctional greenhouses. Site 3 deals with the relation between communities and green corridors. Major and minor canals flow through the communities. The design is to first promote safety for residents, but also establish amenities that improve the quality of life by living close to water. The plan makes the edges of the canals like a promenade for residents and visitors to have a place for walking and communing with nature. So in community scale, we try to create a landscaped corridor in between communities, which serve not only as a buffer along the canals dealing with water treatment and absorbing flood, but also serve as a linear open space for activities. There's also communal linear urban agricultural land between residential buildings to allow for community engagement.
Site 4 focus on the gondola station on the main corridor. The station serves as a community anchor which connects with the surrounding community. There are more community-served buildings such as libraries and institutions. We are also integrating urban agriculture, markets, and more activities that are more community involved. The corridor on the south edge is mainly a buffer between the northern developed area and the southern botanical garden, with road and consistent bike lane along the corridor. This provides water treatment along the canal, recreational infrastructures and parks for the surrounding communities, as well as institutions. The section tends to show different programs along the corridor and how different types of transportation serves different functions, including pedestrian, car-oriented road, and bike lanes. So to conclude, the proposal is a framework of improvement on the mobility system and green corridors that allows development to take advantage of existing and future assets, integrating the surrounding communities and overall Bogota.
The left side, moving from north to south along the Alameda, the development changes from commercial along KTC, then institutional, followed by residential, and ends in a large public wetland and filtration park. The aim of the group was to define the green armature, followed by the stewards that would hold this large green space from extensive privatized development. The diagram on the left shows the existing systems. In the middle, you can see the new imposed road and the biking grid. And the right diagram has the new areas of development, with north being institutional, south being residential. The institutional zone is composed of a proposed public university that flanks the left side, with a size comparative to that of the National University of Columbia. It will be developed with the help of the existing stewards, Sana, Ika, and Marengo Institute that currently hold the land. This space serves as a small-scale example of the urban agricultural interventions that we plan to integrate within the mixed-use zone.
Here we use a collage as a reference for the scale and feel of the institutional zone. The proposed regional rail connects with the gondola system here, which makes this an important node. The alamedas from both sides converge here to provide the public with a new plaza and a safe passage between Calle 13 and the campus. For expanding the existing street topology, we want to propose bike lanes and sidewalks on Calle 13. The southern pedestrian network is composed of deep sidewalks that lead to plazas along the street. In the north, the commercial building serves as a major gathering center near proposed transit stations. The section shows the redevelopment of Calle 13, including the commerce, markets, open space, institutions, etc. An ecological corridor along the canal with pedestrian walkways and bike routes weave agricultural production and institutional areas into a restored ecosystem. The new institutional developments are served as protected buffers, which conserve the surrounding protected area, creating space for healthy biodiversity to flourish adjacent to its agricultural land.
In the north, there are some existing areas for industrial and commercial use. We propose a pedestrian bridge above the street to improve the accessibility of the mixed-use zone and the wetland to the north of Calle 13. The development in this area is dictated by existing canals. Areas with higher concentration of canals are more apt for self-constructed development that start off as eco-parks, while other areas are more apt for formal development due to the proximity of existing formal developments. The filtration pond will collect and clean water through the canals from the proposed development. This will minimize existing and future pollution. The system will be open to the public and act as an educational element to raise awareness. We use Central Park in New York as a collage reference for mixed-use zone and Ciudadela Colosedo in Bogota as a reference for residential development area. Connectivity systems here range from two-lane, two-way streets to pedestrian and bike-friendly alamedas with urban agriculture. All types of development in this area would be reliant on the use of canals as manufactured wetlands to manage stormwater and grave water filtration that create a local, more sustainable solution. This slide shows one of the many possible phases of development. The idea was to create a model that transitions from eco-parks to mixed-use blocks. It is intended to provide the framework for sustainable development with the wetland acting as a local water filtration system. The eco-parks with the institution as a steward can first serve as either public parks or urban agricultural zones. That later transitions through self-construction and self-organization to mixed-use residence and amenities, with a community organization as planners. While that happens, the system of green armatures and the canal restoration act as a binding factor.
The street has 2 car lanes, bike lanes, and pedestrian sidewalks on both sides. This main street is a major vibrant connection typology that provides our proposed symbiosis of the canals and urbanized areas. The main canals and the pedestrian bike sidewalks serve as a green buffer extending north-south and connects with the new mixed-use development areas in the west and agricultural lands in the east.
The strategy to create a new wetland which regulates floods by collecting and disseminating stormwater runoff. The restoration of wetlands and ecological corridors along the canal can provide a diverse habitat for wildlife. Along the canal are the pedestrian and bike-friendly and bicycle routes fully accessible to future residential development on the east side. These routes integrate with slow transportation network and create a harmony between man and nature. So that's our plan for integrating the left area, including improving mobility, developing new areas for mixed use and institution, and combining water, wetland ecologies, agriculture, etc. New development areas help with the sustainability and symbiosis between human and nature. This is a combined plan of both the right and left side, which show the overall plan. Thank you.